welcome back to the College Town Podcast. My name is Derek DeBerger. With me is Sam Roth.
How we doing, guys?
Same metropolitan area,
I know,
different
right?
different location. Uh,
Yeah,
it's my fault this time that we're doing online, but that's what this episode is going to be.
just is what it is.
Really dark right now. Sorry about that.
Hey,
Uh,
it's all good. Works.
but let's just jump into it. We've got what 11 days until football starts.
Let's go.
We're down the home stretch, less than 2 weeks,
Yep.
and we're going to finish out our conference season predictions by predicting the Big Ten.
Yep. Last major
So
conference. Let's do it.
we know this. We had recording issues earlier. So let's just say it. I've got Oregon winning the Big Ten.
I do too. I have them 12-0.
12-0, Ohio State in second place and they would play them in the conference championship at 11-1.
I think so. Yeah, 11-1 for me as well. I also have another 11-1 team.
Is it Penn State?
It sure is.
All right. All right. I've got actually Penn State finishing fifth in Big Ten for me.
Interesting.
So, yeah, 10-2 overall.
Okay. So that means you have some other teams up there at 10-2. I don't have any teams. The next team I have is 7-5, but went 6-3 in conference.
That's crazy.
I know.
It's a huge. I thought I had a pretty big jump because actually I've got a lot of teams in the Big Ten going.
I have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way tie for fifth at 8-4.
Wow, that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you my top five then because I feel like that's the cream of the crop of the Big Ten this year.
All right, let's do it.
Oregon, Ohio State.
Right.
USC is third for me.
Okay.
I've got them going 10-2, 8-1 in conference.
Wow.
Yeah. I think I have them losing to Michigan. I think that's their only loss. And then I think they beat Penn State. Pretty sure. I don't know why I'm saying. I'm pretty sure. I can look it up. Yeah, that's
interesting.
Which also means that they beat LSU in the non-conference. They play week 1.
Okay.
Should be a very fun game.
Interesting.
Yeah, then I've got Michigan and Penn State.
Okay, Michigan and Penn State. So your 5 are Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, USC, and Michigan.
Yes, Michigan. USC is third though.
All right, here's mine. My top 5 is Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, USC, and Washington.
I know Washington had a good spring portal. I'm just not so sure about.
So you have Michigan finishing where for you? At what record?
9-3 overall, 7-2 in conference.
9-3. I have them at 7-5, 5-4 in conference.
I feel like we have like flipped opinions about.
We do. We really do. I feel like they lost a ton. I feel like they are going to be the TCU of this year.
They lost a ton on offense. I think and of course they lost the biggest loss of all. They lost their head coach.
Yeah.
Who we'll talk about him
and a lot of sanctions coming down. It's a lot of uncertainties there going on in Ann Arbor.
Sort of. But anyway, they lost a lot on offense, but I think their defense is still going to be really good. I think they are going to. They have Will Johnson. He's going to be the best corner in college, most likely. I just think that the defense is going to be really good. They're not necessarily going to. I'm sorry if you can hear this. I'm having to.
No, you're good. I can hear you.
Okay. They're not really going to get too far away from what they did under Harbaugh. They want to play tough defense. They want to run the ball on you, and they're going to be able to run the ball. And also, depending on who they start at quarterback, they're going to have a running threat at quarterback as well. And not that McCarthy wasn't that. It's just if they go with the guy whose name I don't know, who's in the battle, he's a very good athlete. And so that would just add a completely different dynamic to their offense. which is an offense that already wants to run the ball.
Right. Blake Corum's gone. Who's their new guy? Edwards?
Edwards, but he was there last year.
Right.
He
They were a tandem.
Yep. Now he's going to be the workhorse, most
The
likely.
bell cow. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think I like Michigan. I like their defense a ton.
I
And
don't
I
see.
think go ahead.
I just have them 7-5, 5-4. That's just what I see for them. Above them, I have Nebraska and Iowa as well.
Nebraska and Iowa. See, I've got Iowa 7-5, but same thing with Nebraska. I do have Nebraska getting off to a really hot start though.
I did like Nebraska's early season schedule. Their first loss for me is Purdue. I have Purdue just because it's an away game. It's their first away game. I do think they can beat Illinois. I do like the fact that they could beat Colorado as well. I'm just not high on Colorado.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
it's
We'll
also
talk about
Matt Rule's third year, and we've talked about this. Oh,
second
it's
year.
not his third? Never mind. Maybe not. Maybe I need to change this all up.
I don't have Nebraska losing until Rutgers. Who I think Rutgers I've also got getting out to a pretty hot start.
I have them 6-6. I don't know. Virginia Tech and Washington, I feel like are going to be tough games for them. Also, just because Virginia Tech is at Virginia Tech, they do have a bye game going into it as well, but it just seems like a very tough game.
It's gonna be a tough game for both teams. I also have Virginia Tech winning that one again because it's at Virginia Tech. I just think Shiano has built something that's it's replicable from year to year. He is a good coach, so that bye week does help them with Virginia Tech. Um, Also the schedule is really manageable. Like I've got them losing to
Yeah,
Michigan, USC, Wisconsin, and Virginia Tech.
really. I'm not high on Michigan State at all this year.
I like Jonathan Smith as a coach.
Okay, I get
Yeah,
it. Oregon
brought in,
State higher.
they brought in a lot of guys in the transfer portal. We'll see how it works out. I think I've just got Michigan State going to a bowl game, and that's it.
I don't have them going bowling.
I could see that honestly. I was a little optimistic about Michigan State.
Yeah,
Uh,
I have them
but
finishing second to last behind Northwestern.
I I think there's too many teams that are just not going to be that good.
I mean,
I again with everyone says like we've moved into the power two in college football. If you look top to bottom, the Big Ten has a lot of weak teams right now.
yeah, bottom half is really ugly from Northwestern to UCLA, Michigan State. I would say,
UCLA and Purdue are going to suck.
yeah, they are.
And then I think you've got a lot and Minnesota. I know. Okay, I alluded to this in the last episode, but I predicted him to go 4-8. PJ Fleck is just like a fine coach.
Yeah.
4-8 seems too low. Also, they brought quarterback transfer Max Brosner that is highly touted. Like a lot of people were singing his praises in the transfer portal. I look at Minnesota's schedule and I'm like, I don't see a whole lot of
I
wins.
really don't. Out of conference is like North Carolina, Rhode Island, Nevada. I see 2 wins there in Rhode Island and Nevada.
Yeah,
I see them winning away at UCLA, and
so
then
I think
I see them maybe beating like a Maryland at home, but like I don't see too many other wins.
that's exactly what I have.
I mean, like I really just don't see it between Iowa, Michigan, USC, Illinois, Rutgers, Penn State, and Wisconsin.
Yeah,
I
it's a
just
tough
don't see it.
as not great as the Big Ten is. This
They
upcoming
got slaughtered with that schedule.
yeah, and also he's PJ Fleck's like a fine, not a great coach.
Yeah,
And I don't really have much faith that he's going to be able to turn nothing into something.
right.
It's just what I don't
See,
know. Even though I do feel bad about picking 4-8, but I'm like he's a little bit of a better coach than that, but not much better.
what if I told you that I had Indiana going bowling, starting off 6-0?
I've got them going bowling, but not. I don't think they're getting off to a 6-0 start.
I could see 6-0 looking at their schedule.
Um, maybe. I don't know. I have them losing to Maryland and Northwestern.
Really, I have them beating both those teams.
Yeah, they. I think Indiana does have a really, really favorable schedule to start the season. Also, they
Yeah.
have Signetti now as the new
Yeah.
head coach. I think he is a phenomenal head coach. I think that I really do think that in the most recent coaching carousel, that was my favorite hire. It was Kurt Signetti to Indiana.
Okay.
And I think that Indiana's gonna just jump immediately. They're just gonna have that pop because they're going from Tom Allen, who's a really good defensive coordinator, not a good head coach.
Right.
Kurt Signetti's just gonna immediately make them that much better.
Right.
And so I have them beating Nebraska, interestingly enough. Um yeah. They go I picked them to go on a pretty bad skid here in the middle of the season. Going like 1-6, but yeah.
I
Is it
mean, I have them losing to Nebraska, Washington. I have them beating Michigan State. I mean, they just have some tough games.
they do have some tough games. They also play a lot of like they play a lot of toss ups at home.
Yeah.
Like of all the toss up games that they have that I'm like, they should have had that. That's not good that they have that on the road. Northwestern and Michigan State, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah. But I mean, like, I'm just not high on Northwestern after I just don't see that program having too much life right now.
I mean, they went 8-5 last year, but I do think that was a little bit of an anomaly.
Yeah.
Like I've got the season 5-1 and then losing 6 straight. So, and again, I just don't think that the schedule really works out that favorably for them. Um, I don't know. The Big Ten this year is really I kind of keep just coming back around to this. I think it's just a lot of meh in the middle.
It
Like
is.
you got those top teams, and then it's like, eh.
It's like the teams that are ranked or on the borderline of being ranked, like maybe in Iowa or something, or maybe a Washington. And then after that, it's kind of a bigger drop off.
I
You could
think
have those borderline teams like Wisconsin in there, maybe, but like,
there's like a clear in my mind.
yeah,
There's a top five. Um, and because it's such a big conference, you can have a clear top five.
I don't think
But
it's that clear because we're going to disagree on this because I don't think Michigan is a top five team in this conference. I have Iowa, USC, Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon.
nationally, people kind of, I mean, they're a top 10
Yeah,
team.
I know they're Michigan's ranked ninth, and I just don't see it. You know what? That's my pick. You're talking about top 10 rankings of a team that's not going to be ranked outside top 10 anymore. Michigan's my pick.
That is that is exactly what we were going to get to later in the show. But yes,
Sorry, didn't mean to jump the gun on it, but yeah,
it's fine. Going your shot now. I just
yeah, Michigan's my pick.
I don't know. I think they got a really good defense. I think there are a few teams, probably 4 or 5-ish, that could kind of take advantage of the middle of the Big Ten, and that is Wisconsin, Rutgers, Iowa, Nebraska, and Maryland. I think potentially all five, or not all five, obviously, but like a collection of those five could
So you said which ones? Rutgers, Wisconsin, Maryland, and who?
Rutgers, Wisconsin, Maryland, Iowa, and Nebraska.
Okay, I got two of them taking advantage of it. In Nebraska 9-3 and Iowa 9-3. The rest of them are 6-6, just happy to be bowling.
I don't know. I think this conference is all gonna be all about like what team is just slightly better than everyone else. And they're gonna get a lot of those close, like one possession wins this season.
Or it's just going to come down to one big play in a game. Just it's going to be a turnover. It's going to be a big jump play. It's going to be a break off a run, whatever it is.
But I mean, both of us we're really in consensus here. We think it's Oregon's to lose, and then outside of the top teams, it's kind of
I wouldn't say it's necessarily Oregon's to lose. I just think they're going to win that game against Ohio State because it's in Oregon. I truly believe that could be the game of the year.
I think that's going to be a crazy environment.
Like that game, Oregon, Ohio State going into Oregon, like that is the game. Because like looking at Oregon's schedule, outside of that, in my top 5, right? They only play, they don't have anyone else in my top 5. They have Michigan, but they're 6 for me. So like that game is literally the game for Oregon. As compared to like Ohio State. Ohio State's also got Penn State on the roster. I mean on the schedule. And like Michigan and Iowa. Like
and it depends on how people feel about Will Howard. I like Will Howard. I know you're not super sold on him.
I just look at it from this perspective. It's like if you're expecting a guy to lead you to a national championship at a crucial position like quarterback, why is he losing his job at a lesser known program in Kansas State? Not to say Kansas State is bad by any stretch of the imagination, but he basically is losing his spot. And from people I've talked to who are Kansas State fans, I basically said it was Avery Johnson's spot going into next year, basically. And everyone kind of was aware of that. So it's not like a transfer where he was looking for a better option. I think it was a transfer he was going into portal knowing that he didn't want to compete for a spot, and Ohio State just happened to become knocking.
Yeah, I know that. I just think that I don't know. I like him. I think he was good. I think Ryan Day is a good quarterback coach, so I think he will improve under Ryan Day. But even if you're not high on him, you got to play some tough defenses.
Yeah,
Michigan, Penn State,
yeah.
Iowa.
Are they going into Happy Valley or is that game at Ohio State?
That is at Happy Valley.
Oh, yeah. Those are that's gonna be 2 hard road games.
Yeah, and the three games before that one are in order. Nebraska, in order from like most recent to the Penn State game. It's Nebraska, Oregon, and Iowa. So Ohio State, they do have a bye week in there, but they could potentially be beat up a little bit.
Yeah, it's after that Oregon game they have a bye.
Yep.
And then they have to go 6 straight. And then this is like Ohio State for you. You get 3 bye weeks, right?
Yeah.
Where they decide to put their bye week on week 15. Well, I mean, that's everybody.
Yeah.
Never mind. That's the Army Navy game. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I got anything else to say about the Big Ten?
Who do you have finishing last? Who are your worst teams?
UCLA. I think UCLA is whether that coaching staff is actually good or not. I don't think anyone knows. But I think that they just lost too much. They also lost Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
Chip is a really good coach.
Good offensive coach, yes.
And then right above them I've got Purdue. I think.
See, I have that too.
I know it was year 1 for that coaching staff last year. I feel like what I saw from them was not impressive. Like I didn't see much potential there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's what we got.
Yeah.
All right. So let's keep it in the Big Ten for just a second here.
Yeah.
We talked last episode about the notice of allegations leaking for Michigan, and more was caught up in there, as well as 12 other coaches. After that happened, the NCAA has cracked down on Jim Harbaugh.
They sure have.
Not for Connor Stallions, not for the reason you might be thinking, but for the cheeseburger stuff.
Which is so stupid. We've been covering this thing for a year now. We've been talking about cheeseburgers from Harbaugh since beginning of last year.
Yeah, that and like texting coaches or texting recruits during like
dead periods,
which, sure, punish them on that.
Right.
Thing
But
is, he got a 4-year show cause penalty, which essentially bans you from college for 4 years. It doesn't officially, but what that does is if you have an active show cause, if there's any school that wants to hire you, they have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're not going to cheat at that school. And it's a very difficult thing to do.
yeah.
So it essentially makes him unhireable for 4 years. But the thing is, unless things go disastrously in LA,
Yeah.
he's not going to be back in college in 4 years. He's going to be coaching the Chargers.
I mean, knowing how the Chargers are, he might have to sit out 1 year for college ball in their history with head coaches. Seems to be a 3-year cycle, if you will. But best of luck to Harbaugh, though. But it's also just a dumb ruling. I mean, sure, if he's cheating, like stealing signs, whatever, sure, absolutely. But 4 years for buying recruits cheeseburgers that were named after him, not to say that matters, but it's pretty damn cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's goofy. I think it's classic. It's just the classic of LA, like way overstepping on something because they flub something else so bad.
Yeah,
That's all it is. It's just
it's a makeup. It's a makeup call,
yes, exactly. It's a makeup call.
and
And
it's a joke.
yep. And the funniest thing about all of this is that week one, Jim Harbaugh is an honorary captain for Michigan. So
That's
he'll go out
fun.
there
That's funny.
and he is gonna get look, people have
Does
said
he?
people have said that the big house is the quietest group of 100,000 people that you
Yeah.
can find. Uh, this is a fun fact. The stadium is like so sloped to try and get as many people in there as possible that pretty much every seat in there is a terrible seat. Like
Oh.
you've got someone like right in your face. So that's
Um.
why it's so quiet because people can't see the whole game pretty much.
Mm.
Aside. But given the fact that it's such a quiet stadium, that place is going to erupt when he goes out there for the coin toss.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, a coach that wins you a national championship, you obviously cheer for, right? But a coach that also leaves you while you're in unknown certainty, I do wonder how big the cheers will be. You think it's just going to be an absolutely
It's gonna be
massive roar?
it's gonna be like rounding the third turn in the Kentucky Derby. It's nothing but
Really? Oh my.
well, because it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, he brought him a national championship.
They did.
They can suspend Sharon Moore for 8 games or whatever the hell they end up doing, but like it doesn't matter. They have a trophy, and that's all the fans are going to care about. That's all I would care about.
Fair enough. Hey,
But congrats to Jim Harbaugh. He's
yeah, absolutely.
the King's welcome back in Ann Arbor.
No kidding.
Quickie news. There's not really. We kind of just have like this is a light news day.
Don't worry. It's all good because that means people aren't getting in trouble.
That's true. That's the positive. That or we're just not talking about it.
We'll see.
But so Notre Dame has hired Pro Football Focus's Anthony Treash. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Sounds good to me.
To a brand new position at Notre Dame, which is known as the Director of Analytics. And basically, I just wanted to bring this up because this is a very forward-thinking move by Notre Dame. Do you think other schools are going to follow and hire a director of analytics? Because we've already seen on the basketball side, a lot of coaches are doing this, namely Nate Oates. He's kind of at the forefront of this. So are other schools going to do it? And how good an idea do you actually think this is?
I think it's a great idea, but also football is a little bit different than basketball just because of like there's a lot more opportunity to align 11 on 11 rather than 5 on 5. There's a lot more variables to come into play. And also I feel like when it comes to football, it's very much play by play decision making rather than like a grand scheme of like you need to run this number of runs or this or whatever to be like unbiased or whatever. Like
There
the
are
way,
there are some coaches though that do they keep heavy track of their numbers of like, oh, we've run the ball uh 5 more times than we passed it. Let's pass it a couple times.
yeah, I'm aware of that, but I also think it's the situation of the games that are going to matter more analytically. Like if you run a play on first down and you get 5 yards, but it turns out to be a holding penalty, you're first and 20 right there. Like like there's variables within the game that probably there's I look at it from an analytical standpoint of like it'll matter situationally on what to do.
I think you could make that same argument with basketball as far as like, oh, if you catch it, you're wide open in the mid range. Don't shoot the mid range. Either back up for three or just drive to the hoop.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
You can
it's a
make the
smart.
but like if the ball carrier if they travel before they put the ball on the ground, boom, it's a turnover.
I just wonder how this is applied. Like, is like this guy in the ear of Marcus Freeman during the game, being like, "Hey, this is what you should do analytically," and then like he has to weigh his gut between his mind, like like is it a gut feeling thing where he just knows like I've been trained and coached this as a coach to do these type of play calling, or is it more so the fact of like, all right, this is what we did right, this is what we did wrong, this is what we should do more of, and it's just like a breakdown of the game and like a review.
Yeah, it's we don't know what exactly uh is going to be done with this position. I don't know if anyone will officially know because Notre Dame is a private school. They don't actually have to publish a lot of information
Right.
uh, like most schools do. What I would do if I were creating this position or if I were in this position, whatever, I would come up with basically every single scenario of like, what do the analytics say? And let's make sure that our coach has these at his disposal. Let's make sure that the coach knows this so that he then can factor this into his decision making on game day. I would also be trying to do like almost like research and development of like what are other ways that we can involve analytics in the game? Like how can we involve it in practice? How can we involve it in drawing up plays? How can we involve it in like who works best in what game situation? Like I would it would just be the like two-pronged approach of like make sure the coach knows things so that they can factor it into their decision making and then just like try to do as much research as you can.
Yeah.
But I mean how Notre Dame actually does this, we'll see.
I just, I mean, it'll be fascinating to see because it's like how fast in game time speed, like you have what 40 seconds on the play clock to get a play in, and then
You have to do it quicker than that because, you
well,
know,
you have to hike the ball. So I'm saying from play clock to zero, it's 40 seconds, right?
probably need that play in like 15
15 seconds, right? You have to have the play. You have to have the play, have the scheme, have the formation, have the personnel that you want in. And then on the other side of it, let's say your defense, you have less than that. We're just talking offensively. Defensively, you have to realize what they're doing, get your time to get your subs in as well, and coordinate all that. So I mean, like analytically speaking, I feel like it's going to be hard to do on a play by play basis. I mean, it's not impossible, but I feel like you just have to be very well trained on like what is expected. These coaches are going to have to be smart, not only in just football sense, but if they're also going to incorporate the analytical sense to the game as well.
I think coach is already doing that though.
I think
You know,
some are, but then it's also like I wonder what new information an expert will give you that you feel like you already know analytically. Like me and you, amateurs in analytics, know that you if you're 1 foot inside the 2 point arc, you take a step back and you shoot that three every single time. We know that. That's basic. It's easy. We know that, right? There's
yeah,
probably more minute things within games that we don't really know or understand that I'm interested to see what the expert would say to a head coach.
yeah. It'll be interesting to see if this does actually have a tangible impact on A, the way Notre Dame plays, and B, their outcome on the field.
Like, I wonder if there's going to be a play where it's like, why are you doing this? Like, but it works, you know?
I mean, that always happens with analytics. There's always like, what are you doing? And then it's like, oh,
Like, do you think Notre Dame will just always go for two if they have a bigger conversion rate than 50%? Because that's what the numbers say. Like,
I think
could we see that?
I think it's got to be like analytics aren't. I feel like analytics are just a tool.
Or
I
we,
you still have to factor in like, is this the right decision at this
I
time?
mean, to be fair, we've started to see it a little bit more where that no man's uh was it no man's land in the field where it's like 40 to 40. Like we've seen it to where like guys go for fourth down now. Like that has become a much common thing at the professional level as well as the collegiate level, where
Yeah,
it's
analytics
like,
is taken over much quicker in the NFL than it has in college.
oh yeah, where it's fourth down, you're in midfield. Why punt it and make them go 90 yards when you only have 50? Like, also, that's one thing I do know about football is that like field position from the 0 to the 50 on your side of the field where you have 50 yards or more to go, it doesn't make a huge difference on the amount of points that you get from a drive. Like whether you start on the 20 or the 30 does not have a huge impact on whether or not you score points.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this affects Notre Dame. It'll be interesting to see if other schools go in this direction. I think other schools absolutely should go in this direction. But
Oh yeah. Uh,
yeah,
do
that's
you think this is going to turn into a way to where sports has become solved in a way? There's some argument to be said about that.
absolutely
Where
because I think that at the end of the day, analytics don't ever factor in momentum. Momentum is a very real thing. Like analytically speaking, if you're down like 22 points, it
yeah,
says go for the 2 point conversion first time you score. The first time you score. And that can work, because then if you don't get it, you have the opportunity to get the next 2 point conversions.
yep.
Um, but sometimes it's like, well, no, let's just get this momentum going. Let's just let's just keep it going. Let's just keep it going. Because eventually, let's say you do score that third touchdown and then you have to go for two. Defense is on their heels. They're out there. They are everyone is thinking in the back of their mind, like, okay, don't make a mistake, don't make a mistake, don't make a mistake. And then the offense is just relaxed. They're like, we've scored 3 touchdowns on these jabronis. All we need is 2 more yards or 3 more yards in college.
Yeah.
So I do think that analytics is just a tool. I think that the coach needs to evaluate a situation, evaluate the mood of the game. And so I don't think it will solve sports. But I think you'll see some coaches basically defer to analytics every single time, and I think you'll see some who avoid it like the plague. I think both of those types of coaches are going to.
So there's a happy medium.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
But yeah, that's that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the AP Top 25, or you want to talk about Colorado?
Let's do AP top 25.
All right. The AP Top 25 is officially out. Our college, the College Town Podcast Top 25 is out as well. It's been out for a couple weeks now. Feel free
Sure
to
has.
check it. But we're going to talk about the AP Top 25 this week. And number one, no surprise, it is Georgia.
Nope.
Yeah. Number two, Ohio State. Number three, Oregon. Number four, Texas. That is pretty much everyone's consensus top four.
Yeah.
Occasionally you'll get people that put Ohio State number one. Oregon did get one vote for number one overall.
Oh, really?
Uh,
I see
yeah,
that.
which is funny because I actually voted them number one overall in our poll.
Oh, okay.
Because again, I'm very high on Oregon this year. After that, you've got Alabama number five, rounding out the five, which is ahead of Ole Miss. There was some random dude commenting on our top 25 on YouTube who was like, how in the world could you put Ole Miss ahead of Alabama?
Because we like Ole Miss.
Saban's not there anymore. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. They're listening to music now during practice. Game's gone for them. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So, I mean, is there anything that stands out in particular to you? about this top 25?
Michigan at 9 because I'm not high on Michigan. We've already kind of covered that a little bit because I did not rank Michigan in my top 25. I just
You did you did at the end.
oh
You
did
really,
I put them in?
I think they got a point.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so
Yeah.
they were ranked 25th.
Yeah.
Okay, I digress. But it's also like um the Oklahoma seem rather high to me at 16 and 17 as well. Um I also think like Clemson's a little too high for me at 14.
It is pretty high at 14, but I mean, I say that having predicted them to go 10 and 2. So
I'm I just think like at some point these old philosophies of Dabo Swinney are going to catch up to him.
I agree, but I think it's going to be I think it's a slow death because they still had a phenomenal defense last year. Their defense was pretty young last year, and so they're just getting even older this year. And so I think the defense is going to be incredible. It's just all about the
I
offense.
think it's already started to die because like Clemson 5 years ago, if you told them that they were ranked 14th preseason, they thought the sky would be falling.
Yeah.
Like it's already kind of hit that point to where like if Clemson's not in the top 10, they're not even like I know I didn't pick them to finish first. I know you didn't have them picked finish first in ACC. It's just not what we had. And
And
like
I mean, and they were ranked 10th last year, I believe. So
it's a slow, slow death. Yeah.
yeah, I think you probably have some people still clinging on to no, it's Clemson. It's Clemson. But
Like it's the brand Clemson, you know.
yeah, I do think that I don't know. I think that that slow death is gonna ebb and flow a little bit because
Um,
while they're not bringing anyone in the transfer portal, they're still recruiting high school to super high level.
right. They are. Um, now I
Yeah,
really don't have too many complaints with this top 25 other than those. I
I,
I'm pretty happy with it overall. I think it's very similar to what we had.
it's very similar to what we had. Yeah. Miami, I'm not gonna believe it until I see it. Same thing with Texas A&M. Unfortunately, even though I do like Mike Elko.
I do like Mike Elko. I think he's a really good coach. I think what he did at Duke was very good.
Yeah, fantastic. But I with both of those schools, and honestly, for me personally, Arizona as well. I'm not gonna believe it until I see it. But yeah, I think you already picked Michigan as your team in the top 10 because every year there's a team ranked top 10 preseason that ends. Anyway,
I
you,
think it's not even close. I think it has to be Michigan.
I get, yeah, Michigan. Michigan's definitely got a chance. I could see Notre Dame. I really
Yeah,
could.
maybe. Yeah, I guess. Like, but not be ranked. I don't know.
And if it is Notre Dame, then Freeman's gone. Freeman's
Oh,
out.
if oh, by far he's done.
But yeah, I mean, I
Because
think
that
that's
would mean that they're what 8-4, 7-5.
8-4. I think they're going to rank Notre Dame because it's Notre Dame. So they're probably 7-5.
Yeah, I got Michigan right there. That's exactly what I had predicted. You know what? I'm going on FanDuel right now, and I'm betting the under on their wins right now.
That's
I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
what is the over under for Michigan?
I'll find out.
All right. Well, while you find out, just feel free to interrupt whenever you do. I'm just gonna prime the final story of this episode, and that is that there seems to be a little bit of a war going on in Boulder. Uh, Deion Sanders and the local media in Colorado, they're at odds. It seems like they have both soured on each other. Uh, there's been a lot of negative articles written about Deion Sanders from local media organizations, both television stations and news outlets like newspapers. And also at Media Day for Colorado, Deion Sanders was just like crazy.
Michigan 8.5 is their over under.
Yeah, you know, I could see the under, but I picked the over. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, he betting the under there.
I did. I just did. It was plus odds, plus 132.
Yeah, Deion Sanders, Coach Prime just like was hyper aggressive in Colorado's media day towards certain members of Colorado's media.
Well, I saw the clip. Did you see the clip?
There's multiple clips that I saw.
Okay. The one clip I saw was a guy from CBS, the local one, CBS, was like, said something to the effect of like,
Well,
I'm blah, blah, blah. He didn't even get his question out. He was just like, I'm my name. This is who I associate with, as a reporter does before they say a question. And he said, I'm not answering a question from you. It has nothing to do with you as a person. It's just with CBS, and they know what they did. And it was like, well, what did they do? Everyone in the comments was like, what did CBS do?
Do you know what CBS did?
No, I assume they like ranked him as like one of the worst coaches in the Big Ten.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. A national CBS reporter ranked him as the second worst head coach in the Big 12, only ahead of Kenny Dillingham, who I like Kenny Dillingham. I think he's solid.
Hmm.
But uh, yeah. So
Ego got a
he
little
decided.
fragile there, huh?
I also saw him. Um, he was just he's chirping a lot at the media, but one thing he did in particular was someone someone was like um so you did a lot of work in the portal this offseason trying to bolster your offensive line. He was like, bolster, we bolstered our offensive line. Don't say bolstered. What does that mean, bolstered? And he's like, you've strengthened. He's like, strengthened, say improved our offensive line. And it's like, why are you going to war over the word bolstered? It's a pretty normal word.
Yeah, it is.
I I just I don't know. I just between whether the locker room story about Colorado was actually accurate,
True or not, yeah.
there's just so much going on. I'm starting to sour on Dion's Tinder.
I'm telling you. I mean, I've been here where it's like I just don't see it. I still don't see it. Him having success. Um, let's see. Big 12, Colorado. They're over under for wins as if they're going bowling. It's 5.5.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think I see it
I don't see it either.
as as good a quarterback as I think Shedeur Sanders is, and I think he is phenomenal. I just don't think he's enough to overcome everything else.
I don't either.
It's starting to feel. This is the outside look. It's starting to feel like there's just a ton of dysfunction going on there.
Oh, it's daddy's ball at a collegiate level. That's what it is. He cares about his two sons doing the best they can and building a system around them two for them to succeed. Mainly Shedeur.
I mean, I'm not gonna go that far, but I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, it's Colorado. It's Deion Sanders. There's gonna be a ton of eyes on him. If it is a disaster, I think I think Colorado's AD is gonna give him another year. I don't think he's gonna get rid of him after 2 years, even
I'm
if
interested.
like
I'm
4 months.
interested to see what he does next year. If he does get next year, what he does because of he won't have his sons there. Like Shiloh's 24 playing collegiate football.
It's old. Probably doesn't
It
have.
is. He's not like a Australian punter trying to get a degree either.
No.
He's a 24-year-old safety.
Yeah, yeah, and then also, again, Shador's a very good, very talented quarterback. They're gonna have to replace that. And if they're not good this year with a very good quarterback under the helm, I can't imagine that they're gonna take a step forward with a worse quarterback.
Yeah, I just don't see it.
Yeah. Anything else on Colorado or anything else? Because that's our last story.
I'm kind of on the hope to see it burn out. Hope it catches its flame. I'm kind
I
of
don't,
on that train.
I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm just watching. I just want to see what happens.
It just gets annoying after a while.
I don't know. I think it is a situation of when they're winning, everyone loves it, and when they're losing,
Yeah,
and so I don't really care one way or the other. But if that is all, then that means that's our episode.
I will say they did receive one vote for the top 25 in
One
the
vote.
AP.
One person voted uh put them in 25th in their poll.
Mm-hmm.
The ballots are actually public for the AP Top 25.
Yeah.
Go and look who put Colorado in.
I wonder how. Let me see.
Well, he looks that up. This was our episode. If you stuck around this long, thank you. Thank you for putting up with our poor lighting, which is not usually an issue. We actually
Mm-hmm.
have good lighting, but not today. And really, it was just on my side. Very poor lighting on my side. But
Where
thank you.
is it? It didn't. It isn't. It's not disclosing who the.
They're not doing it yet.
It's one sole voter who put up the buffs at 25, very last place on the ballot, though. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Yep. Oh well.
thank you for watching. Hope you subscribe. Hope you like the video. If you like it, we'll be back next week to give our just overall season predictions
Yeah.
because the last week before college football.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.